Well, good morning, everyone. We are on another adventure today. We are in the bootheel of Missouri. We're going to be doing historical markers here in Mississippi County. And stay with us. I don't know what we're going to find here. This is a new direction for us going into this part of Missouri, but I'm excited about it. As long as the weather stays good, you know, anytime we're listening to the weather around our place, we always hear about tornadoes in the bootheel of Missouri, so I don't want that. But here we go. We're going to see what we can find and what there is. I know that whatever it is, it's going to be interesting. So stay tuned and stick along with us. All right, here we are today in Mississippi County, Missouri. I think this is our first county in Missouri that we've done. And this marker is the first steps into the Louisiana Purchase. And we're going to see here. This is the Lewis and Clark expedition across Missouri. And it says here in Meriwether Lewis's diary, it says, this evening landed on the point at which the Ohio and Mississippi form their junction. Meriwether Lewis, November 14th, 1803. And that's a drawing that was done by Charles Lasser. It says Meriwether Lewis left Pittsburgh August 30th, 1803 in the 55-foot keelboat built for him there. As he headed down the Ohio River, slowed by low water levels, he recruited men for the expedition and acquired 2 other smaller vessels, canoes, piragos. Again, y'all know I can't pronounce some words. At Clarksville, Indiana, the Falls of the Ohio, William Clark joined Lewis. On November 14, 1803, they arrived at the mouth of the Ohio and camped at a point of land near present-day Cairo, Illinois. And that's the map that William Clark drew of the confluence. And of course, we know that that's now in Illinois, Fort Defiance Park there. Over the next 5 days, Lewis and Clark made a series of scientific observations using such instruments as the sextant, surveyor's compass, and chronometer. Clark made measurements of the widths of the Ohio and Mississippi rivers. These were the first of hundreds of observations and measurements that the captains would make on the Lewis and Clark expedition. Lewis and Clark also made 2 different visits, November 16th and November 18th, to land in the vicinity of what came to be known as Bird's Point on the west side of the Mississippi River across from the mouth of the Ohio. These visits constitute the first time members of the Lewis and Clark expedition set foot on land that became the state of Missouri. Clark, in a letter to his brother Jonathan, said they met 4 or 5 Americans and a great many Shawnee Indians, and traded with them for different kinds of wild meats, such as bear, venisons, ducks, tongues, and beaver tails. Lewis adds some additional details in his journal, and he says, on November 16th, we found here some Shawnees and Delawares encamped. One of the Shawnees, a respectable-looking Indian, offered me 3 beaver skins for my dog, Seaman, with which he appeared much pleased. The dog was of the Newfoundland breed, one that I prized much for his docility and qualifications generally for my journey. And of course, there was no bargain. I had given $20 for this dog myself. On November 18th, Lewis said they reached the huts of some persons who had established themselves for the purpose of trading with the Indians. One of these traders may have been Abram Bird, for whom Bird's Point was named. He had received a Spanish grant in this area in 1798. So this is a portrait of a Shawnee Indian. These were the Shawnee and Delaware Indians that were in this vicinity that they we're in. All right. So this is a walk that has some various markers along it. I'm not going to read every word of this. This is the Lewis and Clark Trail, so just you may pause and read as I go along. This tells you where we're at right now. It's the Major Harry Whipple Park in Charleston, Missouri. Tells you all about this location. Pretty nice murals here, and they mentioned in one of those about the 6 columns. Talks about the different murals. First one's the journal writer. The second one is the first landing. And then these 2 murals. Learning the instruments and pushing away. All right. And then here, this is a map of the Louisiana Purchase, and you can see the trail that they took. We're here. All the way up. Pretty cool. So this is a really nice little park and experience. So I hope you took the time to pause and read those plaques as we walked along. And we'll see what's next out there. All right, and we are outside of the Mississippi County Courthouse in Charleston, Missouri. And we are here for this monument here. It is for Warren Eastman Hearnes. He was the governor of Missouri, Secretary of State. Well, he's been lots. He's the state representative from Mississippi County. He was the Secretary of State of Missouri, and he was a Missouri governor. And there's a bench here too for him and his remembrance. This is the memorial erected in honor of those who served in the World War, 1917 to 1918. And then they have kept it up to date. There's the Vietnam War and World War II. And the Korean War, and even one for the Afghan War. Okay. All right, we are outside of the Charleston, Missouri Country Club for this marker. It is the Mississippi County marker. It says comprising 411 square miles of Missouri's great alluvial plain. This county, organized in 1845, is a high producer of cotton, grain, and soybeans. The Mississippi Algonquin Indian for great water flowing along some 70 miles of the county's eastern boundary separates it from Illinois and Kentucky. A boundary dispute over Wolf Island was settled 1871 in Kentucky's favor by the U.S. Supreme Court. Charleston, the county seat, known today as Cotton Capital and Shoe Manufacturing Center, was first called Matthews Prairie for John Matthews, settler on a Spanish grant there in 1801. John Rodney laid out the town, named for Charles Moore, 1837, on land of W.P. Bernard, Joseph Moore, and Thankful Randall. That's an interesting name. The first settlement was Bird's Point across from Cairo, Illinois, where a 1-mile bridge built in 1929 crosses the river. John Johnson came there in 1800, and Abraham Byrd, later one of the founders of Hannibal, had a trading post and Rivers Landing 1805. Settled by Kentucky and Tennessee pioneers, the county lies in the 1808 Osage Indian land secession. 350 prehistoric mounds remain. New major earthquakes of 1811 and 12 violently affected the county. It said see other side, so we're going to go around. Okay. In Mississippi County is historic Belmont battlefield. There on November 7th, 1861, General U.S. Grant with 3,114 troops saved the forces of Colonel R.J. Oglesby from possible capture by engaging 2,500 Confederates under General G.J. Pillow in a 6-hour battle. Union losses were 485. Confederates who held Belmont lost 641. A chain was put across the river from Confederate-held Columbus, Kentucky to Belmont in a futile effort to halt Union gunboats. Part of the chain is still in Columbus Belmont Battlefield State Park, Kentucky. We've been there. It was very interesting. From 1861 to 65, the county suffered continual war activity. Among towns founded after the war is East Prairie, laid out in 1883 as Hibbard. Today's two branches of the Missouri Pacific Railroad date from 1869, the St. Louis Southwestern Railroad from late 1890s. In the 1880s, large lumber companies came to harvest the fine forests. First levees were built in the 1890s. Big Oak Tree State Park, opened in the county in 1937, is a 1,007-acre botanical garden with some of the largest oak trees in the U.S. In the county was born the archaeologist Thomas Beckwith in 1840 to 1913, and it was the home of writer-planter Tad Snow, 1881 to 1955. Wow, this has got they did a great job here on the history of this county. One of the things I wonder is whether or not cotton is still king here, or and if there's still a shoe manufacturing center here. So that'll be interesting. Mississippi County, Missouri. Well, there you go, guys. Mississippi County, Missouri. I hope you learned stuff. I know I did. I really enjoyed learning about the Lewis and Clark trail here and what part that this played in the Civil War. That was really interesting. So there's much more to be discovered. So stay tuned. If you haven't subscribed, do that. Give me a comment or a like. I'd greatly appreciate it. Catch up with you later.